Welcome to Seeing Green Solutions for Our Daily Lives, the podcast where we spotlight the brands, ideas, and people making it easier to live sustainably every day. Today's episode is part of our Greening My series, where we unpack our homes and our everyday routines to explore practical ways to make them a bit more sustainable. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to the Seeing Green podcast. For our 41st episode, we return to our Greening My series, where we take different parts of our homes and daily lives and explore them through a sustainability lens. This is the 7th episode in the series, following greening my bathroom, bedroom, closet, pet care, meal kits, and happy hour. Wow, we're really working our way around your homes and even your nightlife. You can find these episodes wherever you get your podcasts or at seeinggreen.eco. Today's topic was inspired by 2 recent deep dives in our Spotlight series of the show. Recently, we featured Nothing New and Thousand Fell, both leaders in sustainable footwear sneakers in particular. That got us thinking, given the volume of the footwear sector plus the growing volume of trailblazers bringing greener options, wouldn't that be a great topic for our Greening My series? So with that, welcome to Greening My Sneakers, exploring what it really means to walk lighter on the planet. We'll start with the environmental footprint of footwear, from materials to manufacturing to end-of-life waste, then turn to the brands reinventing how sneakers are made, worn, and reimagined. We're doing this in 2 categories: everyday lifestyle type sneakers and then performance athletic type sneakers. We're saving other types like outdoors and hiking, office attire, and others for future deep dives. As always, this deep dive is about solutions and progress, not guilt, with a focus on real innovators designing sneakers that are better for people and the planet, one step at a time. Before we dive into the most sustainable footwear brands, let's ground ourselves in 2 simple truths. First, the greenest shoe is the one you already own. Extending the life of your current footwear through repair, cleaning, or simply resisting the new drop temptation has a far greater climate impact than any new purchase, no matter how sustainable. Second, ask if there's a circular option. Many shoes today are available through resale or rental. If you only need footwear for a special occasion hiking trip, wedding, marathon renting, or buying pre-loved, maybe the most planet-friendly option. With that said, most people do buy shoes each year, and footwear is one of the biggest areas of innovation in sustainable fashion. So today, we're here to explore the brands that are making new shoes with a new mindset, designing for lower impact, longer life, and a circular future. And one last caveat, we promise. While some of the world's largest footwear companies are making progress, our passion at Seeing Green is for spotlighting the smaller, innovative, often disruptive brands, rethinking how products, including footwear, are made, packaged, and enjoyed. These are the pioneers proving that sustainability and great footwear performance can go hand in hand. So that's who this deep dive focuses on. Okay, let's unpack this. Before we get to the cool innovations, we really have to set the stage. Why does footwear, and maybe sneakers especially, need this greening so badly?
Yeah, it's one of those things with a huge hidden impact if you look at the fashion industry overall. Well, it's responsible for a massive chunk of global greenhouse gas emissions, right? Somewhere around 8 to 10%.
8 to 10%, wow. That's significant.
It really is. But here's the thing. Shoes, which maybe we don't always group with fast fashion, they're actually a huge part of that footprint.
Okay, define huge for us. How much are we talking?
Well, if you sort of zoom in on just footwear, it makes up about 20% of the fashion industry's total impact.
20%.
Yeah. So doing the math, that means shoes alone account for roughly 2% of total global greenhouse gas emissions.
2% globally just from shoes.
Okay. And it gets more concrete. Take like an average pair of running shoes. Making just one pair generates about 14 kilograms of CO2 emissions.
14 kilograms. Wow. That's like driving a typical car, 35 miles or something for just one pair of sneakers.
Exactly.
And I'm guessing a lot of that carbon hit comes from the actual stuff they're made of, the materials.
Absolutely. Your standard sneaker is, well, it's often a mix of pretty problematic materials. You've got synthetics, which mostly come straight from fossil fuels, think plastics, foams, all held together with various glues.
Right.
But then you add traditional leather into the mix, and that really compounds the problem. Leather's got this incredibly high carbon footprint, partly from the cattle farming itself, Plus, it uses just a ton of water. And then there's the tanning process.
Oh, yes, the tanning. That's where those heavy metals often come in, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Which causes huge environmental issues in manufacturing areas.
Precisely. Traditional tanning often uses really harsh chemicals, chromium being the most notorious.
Chromium, right.
Yeah, and it heavily pollutes waterways, the soil near tanneries, and it poses really serious health risks for the workers. But here's the end of life twist.
Okay.
That chromium content actually makes the leather non-biodegradable. So when that shoe, which is often a hybrid of this treated leather and plastic, ends up in a landfill,
Mhm.
it just sits there, doesn't break down properly.
So we've got a product made from fossil fuels, treated with toxic chemicals, and it's essentially designed not to be taken apart or decompose easily. Sounds almost like a single-use item hiding in plain sight in our closets.
That's actually a really good way to put it, yeah. And that complexity, that difficulty in breakdown, it means brands really have to rethink everything, from where the materials come from, right down to what happens after you're done with the shoe, which, brings us to the solutionists.
Okay, this is where it starts getting really interesting then. If that old take, make, waste model is clearly broken, what does the new approach look like? What are these innovative brands actually focusing on? It seems like there's some common threads, right? Some pillars?
That's right. There are definitely core strategies emerging. We basically see 4 main pillars that define this new, more sustainable approach. It's a complete shift away from just, pumping out volume at the lowest possible cost.
Okay, let's break those down. Pillar 1 seems to be all about the stuff itself, material innovation.
Exactly. This is often the most visible change. It's about moving away from those virgin synthetics, the fossil fuel-based materials, and also that really high-impact traditional leather we talked about.
So what are they moving towards?
They're embracing a whole range of alternatives. Bio-based materials are huge things derived from natural renewable sources or using recycled content. We're seeing materials like wool, tree fiber, foam made from sugarcane. Hemp is making a comeback, and even really novel stuff made from things like corn waste, cactus, even apple pulp.
Wow, okay, apple pulp. So pillar 2 tackles the design itself.
Yeah.
Moving beyond just making things last towards circularity.
Yes, circular design. This is key. It means designing products not just for durability, although that's important, but designing them to come back.
Come back how?
Making them easier to repair, for one, but also engineering them so that at the end of their life, the materials can be effectively recycled or safely reused in some way. The ultimate aim is that closed loop idea, where materials just keep cycling and never actually become waste.
Got it. Okay, pillar 3 seems to shift the focus from the shoe itself to the people making it.
Yes, ethical production. This has to be part of the equation. It's about ensuring fair wages for workers and providing safe working conditions. Several of the brands we looked into make a point of having their manufacturing partners independently certified for social responsibility, things like WREP or Fair Trade.
That's crucial.
Yeah.
Okay, and the final pillar sounds like it ties it all together. Accountability.
Right. Accountability requires, pretty radical transparency. Brands need to actually measure their total environmental footprint. Usually this involves something called a life cycle assessment, or LCA.
So they track everything.
Everything. And then, importantly, they have to act on that data. They need programs to reduce that impact, maybe using verified carbon offsets or investing heavily in things like reforestation, aiming for carbon neutrality, or ideally even becoming net positive.
Okay, that framework, material innovation, circular design, ethical production, and accountability gives us a really good lens. Let's use it to look at the first big category, everyday and lifestyle sneakers. These are the ones most of us wear day to day, right?
Exactly. And we can even group some of these innovators based on which pillar they really leaned into first, or where their primary focus seems to be.
All right. So where should we start? Maybe with those focused on building the systems, the infrastructure for circularity?
That makes sense. Let's start there. The pioneers really trying to crack the code on infrastructure and circularity.
Okay, nothing new comes to mind immediately. Their approach seems to blend new materials with a clear take-back system.
Yeah, nothing new, really focused on making sustainable choices look, premium and attractive. Material-wise, they use their Better Canvas. It's made from 100% post-consumer recycled plastic bottles, certified by GRS, the global recycled standard.
And they quantify that impact.
Yeah,
right?
they do. They say each pair saves about 5.6 plastic bottles from landfill and conserves around 160 gallons of water compared to conventional canvas. Pretty specific.
That is specific, and they tackle the leather issue too.
Yep, with something they call Beyond Leather. It's a chrome-free suede, which is a big deal chemically, and they source it from tanneries rated gold by the Leather Working Group. That signals better chemical management and safer practices.
And I remember reading something about how they're actually put together the construction method matters.
It absolutely does. They use what's called true stitch construction. Now, most people might not notice, but compared to the more common, cheaper methods like vulcanizing or cementing soles on, stitch construction is way better for longevity. The shoe lasts longer. And critically, it also makes the shoe easier to take apart later for recycling or repair. It's a subtle but important detail for circularity.
Makes sense. And then they close the loop with their take-back program.
Exactly. The virtuous circle program. Customers send their worn-out, nothing-new shoes back. They even pay for the shipping, and you get a $20 credit towards your next pair. It incentivizes return and ensures those materials don't just end up as waste.
Okay, sticking with circularity. Thousand Fell seems even more ambitious. They're aiming for, what, a fully recyclable, zero-waste sneaker?
Yeah, Thousand Fell kind of realized that a huge bottleneck wasn't just making a recyclable shoe, but actually getting it back from the customer reliably.
The logistics problem.
Exactly. So their shoe itself uses innovative materials like a bio-leather alternative made from food waste.
Wait, food waste? Like what?
Things like corn waste, coconut husks, mixed with some recycled plastic, plus natural rubber soles, stain-resistant coatings for durability. But the real game changer was their investment in the infrastructure piece.
And that infrastructure is Super Circle.
Correct. Thousand Fell actually co-founded the Super Circle platform to manage their own closed-loop system. You trade in your old Thousand Fell sneakers, you get 20% off your next purchase. Standard take-back, right?
Seems like it.
But here's the disruptive part. Super Circle is designed to take back worn shoes of any brand, or even other old clothes you don't own anymore.
Any brand, seriously.
Seriously. They want to keep all those materials out of landfill, not just their own. It's a massive step towards trying to fix the waste problem for the whole industry.
That's pretty bold.
Yeah.
But Thousand Fell is, relatively speaking, a smaller company, a disruptor. How does building infrastructure that potentially benefits competitors and lobbying for things like California's Extended Producer Responsibility Law, SB 707, how does that make business sense for them?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I think they see it as a long-term investment. It validates their core mission, attracts customers who care deeply about this stuff, and maybe they recognize that real change won't happen without that regulatory push like EPR laws.
Right. The big players might not move otherwise.
Exactly. So by co-founding Super Circle, they're trying to prove the model can work, hoping to scale the solution itself, not just their own shoe sales. It's a big bet on systemic change.
Okay, fascinating stuff on infrastructure. Let's shift gears slightly to focus more purely on material substitution. This seems like a huge area of innovation, especially finding alternatives to traditional leather. CLAE and SAE seem like good examples here.
Definitely. CLAE has focused on taking classic shoe designs and making them more modern, comfortable, and sustainable. A big part of that has been pioneering bio-based leather alternatives. They've used materials derived from cactus and also apple pulp.
Cactus and apple, okay.
Yeah, and about half their collection is now fully vegan. They also use GOTS-certified organic cotton, which is important for reducing pesticide use, and GRS-certified recycled fibers. And when they do use traditional leather, they make sure it's from tanneries certified by the Leather Working Group, LWG Gold or Silver rated, usually.
So that LWG certification is kind of the benchmark for responsible leather processing.
It's the main industry standard right now, yeah. It audits tanneries on environmental performance, chemical management, water usage, worker safety. Gold is the highest rating.
Got it. Now, you mentioned cactus, apple. Safety seems to be using a whole menu of these bio-leathers too, corn, cactus. What's the difference? Why so many types?
That's a great question. It really comes down to experimenting with different agricultural or industrial waste streams. They're looking at things like, well, how much raw material is available? What's the environmental impact of processing that waste into a usable material? How durable is it? How does it feel compared to traditional leather?
So they're testing the waters.
Exactly. Cactus leather, for example, is known for being really durable and needing very little water to grow, often no irrigation. Corn napa, which SAE uses, is typically around 68% bio-based and uses waste from corn production. Apple napa, again, uses the leftover pulp for making apple juice. It's all about finding the most scalable, lowest impact option that still performs well.
And SAE doesn't stop there, right? They mix these bio-leathers with other recycled materials.
Right. They use things like sequel yarn in some components, which is made from plastic recovered from the ocean. And their soles often contain recycled rubber from production waste. They're really trying to maximize the use of waste streams. Plus, they have a very direct environmental commitment.
The tree planting.
Yeah, they fund the planting of 2 trees for every single pair of sneakers they sell. They've funded over 325,000 trees since they started in 2018. It shows how these brands often pair that material innovation with direct action on climate or biodiversity.
Okay, one more grouping in this lifestyle category. Let's look at brands whose core identity seems rooted in ethical and regenerative commitments. Grounded People and Curiuma fit here, I think.
Yeah, good examples. Grounded People really emphasizes what they call slow fashion. Their whole philosophy is built around ethical treatment, 100% vegan, cruelty-free. They actually hand-assemble their shoes with artisans in Vancouver, Canada.
Hand-assembled, that sounds labor-intensive.
It is. But it's part of their commitment to fair wages, safe working conditions, and creating a high-quality, robust product that lasts, pushing back against that disposable fashion cycle. It links back directly to that ethical production pillar. They also have a program called Laces that supports various charities.
In Curiuma, they also seem focused on quality, but their big headline is reforestation, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
Curiuma takes a pretty comprehensive approach across the board. They source organic cotton, often using regenerative farming methods. Their natural rubber is ethically tapped so it doesn't harm the trees. Like CLAE, they use LWG gold-rated leather and suede when they use leather.
Yeah.
And a key detail there is that their tannery partner recycles 100% of the water used in the process. Their dyes are Blue Sign certified, meaning safer chemicals. And socially, they state their manufacturing partner is RAP Gold certified and pays wages significantly above the legal minimum.
So hitting multiple pillars there.
Definitely. But yes, their most prominent commitment is planting 2 trees in the Brazilian rainforest for every pair sold. They've planted over 3 million trees now. That's a massive scale of direct environmental restoration tied to their product.
3 million trees. That's incredible. Okay, let's transition now. Moving from everyday lifestyle wear to performance athletic sneakers. This feels like a much tougher challenge, right? Because athletic shoes need that high durability, specific performance features, which usually means lots of synthetics.
Absolutely. This is where the technical hurdles get really high. You need materials that are lightweight, flexible, supportive, abrasion resistant, often relying heavily on engineered plastics and foams like EVA. So innovating here is tough.
Who's leading the charge then? Who are the drivers in the performance space?
Well, you almost have to start with Allbirds. They kind of burst onto the scene with this mission of making better things in a better way. They're a certified B Corp, just got recertified in 2024 with a really impressive score, 119.3.
And their initial claim to fame was using natural materials where others used synthetics, right? Wool runners.
Exactly. They pioneered using materials like ZQ-certified merino wool, Tencel lyocell from eucalyptus trees, and their sweet foam midsole made from sugarcane-derived green EVA, even in shoes meant for running and activity.
What stands out about Allbirds beyond the materials is their focus on accountability, that climate strategy they talk about.
Yeah, they are incredibly focused on data and transparency. They have this 3-part strategy: measure everything, reduce where possible, and then remove the rest through offsets or other projects. And they track their impact across 5 distinct categories:
Which are?
materials, manufacturing, transportation, product use, meaning like washing the shoes, and end of life. Tracking at that level lets them pinpoint where the biggest impacts are and actually target reductions effectively. It's not just marketing fluff.
And they have a circularity piece too.
They do. Their rerun marketplace allows people to buy slightly imperfect or gently used Allbirds, keeping products in use longer. And they partner with organizations like Soul for Souls to donate wearable shoes.
Okay, next up, Vivo Barefoot. They seem to take a very different, almost philosophical approach with their minimalist barefoot design. And they're refreshingly honest about their journey.
They really are. Their whole design ethos is about natural foot function-wide, thin, flexible soles. But sustainability-wise, their big goal is actually regeneration, aiming for a net positive impact on the planet. And they're very open about saying they're not sustainable yet, but that's the goal they're working towards.
And they developed their own tool for accountability, the V-Matrix.
Yes. This is fascinating. Instead of just relying on external certifications, they created the V-Matrix in-house, collaborating with a company called Made2Flow. It's basically a scoring system for their own footwear designs.
How does having an internal tool like that change things compared to just aiming for an external label?
Well, an external label tells you if you met a certain standard after the fact. The V-Matrix is used during the design process. It scores every potential shoe based on 5 key factors: the sustainability of its materials, its manufacturing complexity, simpler is better, its durability, how easy it is to refurbish, and ultimately, its recyclability.
So it directly influences design choices.
Exactly. If a designer proposes using a new type of foam that makes the shoe harder to take apart later, the V-matrix score will reflect that negatively. It forces the design team to constantly think about the entire life cycle and find solutions that improve the score. It builds sustainability thinking right into the core product development.
That's a powerful internal driver.
It really is. And they back it up with action, too. They have a big secondary market platform called revive.com for selling refurbished Vivo barefoot shoes, and they offer a repair service. Both are aimed squarely at maximizing the lifespan of each pair.
Okay, let's look at a specific niche within performance. Recovery shoes. Kane Footwear focuses just on this, right? What's their innovation?
Yeah, Kane targets that post-activity recovery phase. Their big material innovation was tackling EVA foam, that standard ethylene vinyl acetate foam used in almost all athletic midsoles. It's lightweight and cushiony, but typically petroleum-based.
So what did Kane do?
They replaced it entirely with a foam derived from sugarcane. It's a bio-based alternative that still provides cushioning and support. That's a significant material swap in a category dominated by synthetics.
And they have the certifications too.
Yep, they're a certified B Corp and also a member of 1% for the Planet, meaning they donate 1% of their sales to environmental causes. But their design focuses on function too, features like heel capture, arch support, and little raised nodes on the footbed meant to stimulate blood flow for recovery. It's a neat blend of sustainable materials and specific performance function.
Very cool. Okay, one last one in performance. 8,000 kicks. Their angle is hemp.
Hemp. Yeah, this is a great example of using a traditional natural fiber in a high-tech way. 8,000 Kicks focuses on making high-performance footwear using super strong cannabis hemp fibers.
Hemp for performance. Is it durable enough? Water resistant?
Apparently so. Hemp fibers are known for being incredibly strong and naturally have some water resistance. They combine this hemp upper with ecological soles made from algae blooms, another interesting biomaterial innovation using excess algae growth. And they use natural hemp for the insoles, too. The whole shoe is 100% vegan.
And the impact? Did they measure the footprint reduction?
They did. They claim they managed to reduce the CO2 emissions for their shoe down to 4.1 kilograms. Remember, we started with the average running shoe being around 14 kilograms?
Wow, from 14 down to 4.1. That's a massive reduction.
It's huge. It really shows the potential of radically rethinking materials, even using ancient fibers like hemp, combined with newer bio-based components like algae foam.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground, from lifestyle to performance across all these different brands and approaches. What are the main takeaways here? It feels like we've seen recurring themes. Those innovative biomaterials, the crucial need for take-back systems and circularity, and this push for real transparency and accountability.
Absolutely. The landscape is definitely shifting, thanks largely to these smaller, focused innovators pushing the boundaries. So for you listening, what does this all mean in practical terms? We can boil it down to maybe 3 key actionable steps you can take, going beyond just picking one brand over another.
Okay, give us the sticky tips. What should people remember?
All right. First, and this is always number 1, prioritize ownership and care. We said it at the start, but it bears repeating. The greenest shoe truly is the one you already own. Before buying anything new, focus on extending the life of what you have.
How?
Through proper cleaning, maintenance, and repair. You know, brands like Nothing New and CLAE emphasize durability in their design, which helps. But how you care for them matters too. Allbirds, for instance, specifically suggests washing their shoes on a cold cycle and letting them air dry. Simple things like that can really reduce the environmental impact during the shoe's use phase and make them last longer.
So step 1 is basically treat your shoes less like disposable items and more like durable goods.
Exacted. Second, when you do need to buy new shoes, demand material innovation. You're armed with knowledge now. Look for those better alternatives we've discussed.
Like what specifically?
Look for chrome-free suede instead of traditional tanned leather. Look for GOTS-certified organic cotton. Check for recycled content like GRS-certified recycled PT. And definitely explore those bio-based options like sugarcane foams, the materials from corn, apple, cactus, hemp. If a brand is really vague about what their shoes are made of or where it comes from, maybe consider that a bit of a red flag. Demand that transparency.
Okay, care for what you have, demand better materials when you buy new. What's the third step?
Third, and this closes the loop, use the take-back programs. Circularity is a great idea, but it only actually works if we as consumers participate.
Hmm.
When your sneakers are genuinely worn out and beyond repair,
Yes.
make the effort to use those take-back channels, send them back through Thousand Fills Trade-In, or Nothing New's Virtuous Circle, or Allbirds Rerun Program, or Vivo Barefoot's Revivo system, whatever program the brand offers.
Why is that so important?
Because it gets those valuable materials, the bio-leathers, the recycled rubber, the hemp fibers, back into the system where they can be reused or properly recycled. It keeps them out of the landfill, and it provides the feedstock that makes these closed-loop systems viable and helps them grow. It supports the very infrastructure we need.
Right. Feed the system you want to see succeed. Those are really practical, actionable steps. But thinking bigger picture for a second, maybe the most profound impact of these solutionist brands isn't just the greener shoe they sell today.
No, you're right. It's arguably their effort to change the whole system. When a brand like Thousand Fell actively lobbies for extended producer responsibility laws, making all producers responsible for end of life.
Or when Vivo Barefoot develops a tool like the V-Matrix that could, in theory, be used by anyone to grade sustainability.
Exactly. They're trying to change the rules of the game for everyone. They're building the infrastructure and pushing for the policies that force the entire industry towards greater accountability.
So the final challenge for us, for you listening, isn't just about picking one green shoe when the time comes.
No. It's about using your voice and your choices to demand that every brand, big or small, takes full responsibility for the entire life cycle of all the products they put out into the world. Whether it's a simple canvas sneaker or a high-tech running shoe, that's how we really start to shift the needle.
Interested in learning more about creating a greener, more sustainable home and daily life? Check out the other episodes of the Seeing Green podcast, both the Spotlight series and the Greening My series, and please subscribe while you are it.
You also can join the Seeing Green community by signing up on the Seeing Green website, where you can see more trailblazers making significant strides in promoting eco-friendly living through innovative products, solutions, and practices online at www.seeinggreen.eco.
And follow us at Seeing Green Eco across social media channels for all the latest tips and solutions: Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Blue Sky, TikTok, LinkedIn, and now also on Pinterest. You name it, we're there. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Greening My series on the Seeing Green podcast. Until next time, keep seeing green.
This episode is for informational purposes only and does not constitute medical, legal, or professional advice. Always consult relevant experts when making changes to your home, health, or habits.